morning, each and every one. So nice to have you here today, and a shout out to our online community. So glad you're with us. One of my favorite ideas to contemplate as a young person was the golden rule. I was one of those curious kids that was into everything and always up to something. My dad prided himself on telling me I gave him every gray hair. And he was Snow White. And so as a young person, being an observer of others, an observer of life, an observer of nature, I found myself fascinated by just watching the cause and effect and what people said and what people did, and sometimes they matched and sometimes not so much. And as I grew to understand the complexities of being a spiritual being, having a human experience, and I noticed that sometimes people actually lived from the beliefs that they claimed to believe, and sometimes they did not, I found myself even more curious. How can that be? And if they say they believe in this faith or in this philosophy, then what is it really teaching them? Because what I thought I knew in my 10-year-old worldly self was not what my observation was. And so was it me or was it them? And it was both. So along the way in my quest to understand belief systems and religion and philosophy, I found that so many religions had a version of the golden rule. And in our Christian version, it says in Matthew chapter 7, "All things whatsoever ye would that men should do unto you, even so do ye also unto them, for this is the law and the prophets." You know, it's a few too many ye's for me and my liking, but for the most part, I get that this message is a positive message, and it's even more than that. It's a proactive message. It means get up and go do. And so in my various books that I have about the Bible and the versions of the Bible on my shelf, I quote from you often the Message version, which states it this way. You're going to love it. "Here is a simple rule of thumb guide for behavior. Ask yourself, what do you want from people? And then grab the initiative and go and do it for others. Add up the teaching of God's law and the prophets, and this is what you get." It sounds so simple when it expressed in that way. There's not a single ye in that statement. From Charles Fillmore,
co-founder of Unity,
in the Unity Statement of Faith, he said, "We believe that the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, should be the standard of action among men." In fact, probably most of us believe and admire in this golden rule philosophy. It's a wonderful thing for others to follow. Don't you agree? Yeah, I got you on that one. But this type of surface level thinking to encourage others to be kind to me first, where I may not be kind to others first, that is surface level thinking. And what that says is that I don't have any growth work to do. Do you see yourself in my statement and my little stance? Yeah, there's times where we all believe, oh, I'm so evolved. I have no growth work to do. Well, you're still on the planet, so obviously there's something left to do. So, as we do our own growth work, we have the ability to grow and evolve and to build our character. Through this, we change our subconscious actions and reactions. Reactions being the critical term. Because when life comes to meet us and circumstances come into our world, we typically react first instead of consciously acting. So with conscious thought, denials, and affirmations, we can train our subconscious mind to have an automatic golden rule response. Do you not agree? Yeah. The other person should do that too, shouldn't they? Yes. And you are the other person, so there you go. So doing unto others as others would do to you requires our thinking clearly and having a control over our own emotions. It requires us to accept responsibility for our thoughts, for our actions, for our reactions. In February, I did a series on crucial conversations. If you are reacting more than acting through thought, go back on our website and review that crucial conversation series. It's one of those teachings that gives you more and more and more every time you expose yourself to those tools. And so I ask you, can you remain calm if someone calls you a liar or a cheat when it is an unjust accusation? Can you look at the troubles in our town, our country, and our world and see that each person's troubles start in their own mind, and that the only possible solution must come through each of us doing our personal subconscious work towards changing ourselves? I'm responsible for me. You're responsible for you. I can't do your work. I got plenty of my own. I don't have time. So, can you consider ceasing the blaming of ancestors and national leaders, the world, the system, or even God for the circumstances that you find yourself in? Some of it you had a contributing role to play. Each and every choice brings us to yet another choice. But who chooses? We each choose for ourselves. Even choosing not to choose is a choice. So, if it is possible that you in our very presence can bypass blaming others 100% of the time, then you are to be congratulated, and I would love to shake your hand. Don't all rush up now. This indicates that if you are able to do that, you have discovered the truths, and you are living your truth in an unbounded way. First, you have discovered that you can control your activity by your thought. I believe that is unity principle number 3. And you also have discovered to do first for others in personal thought and action that you wish to be done for you. That's not a unity principle, but it is the golden rule. In other words, you have found that by conscious thinking, you are producing mental images of what you want your life to be moving forward. You are using the power of your imagination to visualize something better than yesterday, something better for your children and your grandchildren than what you, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents have had. You are holding a vision of a world that works for all, something that we claim and strive to create in our world. Through the visualization and out-picturing of that and being the hands and feet of the divine here on earth, we have the ability to make that happen. But it always comes back to thought. You create the experience through thought. You create your life through your thought. You draw to you like a magnet that which you think about. Whether you are the one thinking it, or if you have believed and accepted someone else's thought for you and about you. That's where we sort of tend to believe we didn't make that choice, but we did make the choice because we accepted someone else's name, judgment, and determination of who and what we should be in our life experience. And the only one who can tell you that, my friends, is yourself, is your innate divine spirit. I would cut you open with a can opener to show it to you, but that would not be a beneficial thing. Think about it. If what's in that can is not what you want to eat, then don't go there. When I worked with the young people, I told them that your thoughts are like a boomerang. And they could visualize the boomerang flying through the air and then coming back and hitting them in the head. If you do not want that idea, that thing to manifest, don't give it to others. Don't set it out there. It will come back to you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year. Could be 10 years from now. But you understand the concept with a visual such as that. Approximately 500 years before Christ was Confucius, a great philosopher and teacher of ancient China. He advocated the golden rule as the rule of wisdom for personal judgment. And also that this rule be taught to all the emperors, all the judges, and all in authority in the Chinese Empire. Confucius is credited with having so educated the rulers of a certain province through the golden rule concept and practice that jails were emptied in 2 years, and the judges and the lawyers had no work to do. Crime and war had disappeared because of right mental thinking. Right mental thinking, given to all the people of that province. And what happened in those days could happen today if we were to choose it. Did you get the if we were to choose it part? Yeah. If we can get enough people on the planet now to live and practice the golden rule and have that be the first response, then the universe would shift. So I want you to envision what that would look like. What would happen if enough people who understood correct principles of thinking and acting would do? So I want you to pray. Pray for the illumination of yourself, your friends, your family, and pray for the illumination of the government officials across our planet. Some of you have maybe not prayed for them and spoken of them in a different way. We need to join in conscious prayer, sending out what we want to receive back. It's a boomerang. And so, as we pray in alignment with what it is we want to see for ourselves and for others, we will create that tipping point and turn the world into the next level of expression. What we send out comes back to us. So we must learn to practice the golden rule until it becomes a subconscious habit. Our first response, our first reaction. Because our thoughts will continue to come back to us whether we think about what we're sending or not. So let's think about it. Let's be mindful of everything we say, we do, we act. And if your first thought going out is not something you want to receive, just say no. Just stop. So in your bulletin is a lovely, bright, yellow handout. So I'd like you to take that out. And in order for us to successfully utilize the golden rule in our lives, there's some prayer statements that you can use to help this process become something that you can integrate into your daily living. And so we're going to affirm them together. And if you don't have a bulletin, I'm sure one of our ushers would be happy to bring you one if you just raise your hand. We have a couple over here. So we're going to affirm these prayer statements together. Ready? I do first just what I would have others do to me. I do not do for others what they are unwilling to do for themselves. I refuse to accept, consciously or subconsciously, any person's opinion of me not based on truth. I no longer hold anyone in bondage with my personal thoughts, feelings, or actions. I express and ask forgiveness whenever necessary. I love God with all my mind and heart, and I love my neighbor as I love my higher self. not just myself, my higher self. There's this Unity pamphlet from, eons ago, but I love old Unity stuff, so I have a ton of it. You can ask my husband, who's moved it around the country. And this pamphlet is called The 24 Golden Hours, and what it speaks to is being aware that the Christ, think of yourself in a more traditional sense right now. If you bring Christ with you, you would want to act from your higher self. And so in Unity speak, we know that the Christ presence is inside of us. It is the life within. It is our God self. And so Christ is with you everywhere you go. So then would it not translate that you would want to be your highest and best self in the presence of your Christ? You can contemplate that and choose your own answer, yes, no, or maybe. So let's affirm our bottom statement. Every day I pray that all leaders of all nations and all people in positions of human authority become illumined and practice the golden rule in all their activities. And so it is, and so we let it to be. So in my study and curiosity that took me on this long journey of the golden rule, which led to me standing here now, I learned that religions are not as unique as they believe themselves to be. Nor does one religion have more value than another. If it is inspiring someone to be a better being, it has value. In Unity, we believe in personal responsibility. And in some other faiths, they need an outer God with rules and sin and damnation to help them stay on the path. It works for them. It gives value to their life. We should not ever judge it. Faith is a matter of personal and spiritual choice, or it should be. Each human should have the right to find the belief and the philosophy that speaks to their soul and live from it. But I encourage you, because the time for us to be a force for good has come. A few days back. Each of us can join in that force to be a better person, to be building a better world. And our mindfulness and our 12 powers and our unity principles are tools that are crucial to our doing that. The Dalai Lama has laid out a strategic map to be the force for good in the world, and he gives you 3 simple steps. First is to gain inner composure, and I would say that's probably practiced by prayer and meditation. Getting to know yourself from the inside out. His second step is to follow an inner rudder toward compassion. And I would explain that to be living from an open heart. How do you get an open heart? Prayer and meditation. And vulnerability. To just be willing to be real and allow your heart to guide your way. His third step is to act now in whatever way that you can. And to me, that sounds like unity principle number 5. Knowing and understanding the laws of life, also called truth, are not enough. A person must also live the truth that he or she knows. It's my favorite, because it's action. So it's as easy as living the golden rule. We have committed the golden rule to memory, and now let us commit it to life. That is your homework. I expect a complete report. And a reminder to each of you that Wednesday Exploration is on a hiatus during the month of September. And I invite you to join us for the World Day of Prayer and for our spirit group, small group ministries that are starting this month. And there's a number of new classes on the horizon, so be sure to be on the watch for that. And Wednesday Exploration will resume in October. Good luck. Namaste.